Did you notice Parshas BeShalach? At least according to the annual cycle. You read Parshas BeShalach? Oh, well, did you hear that? What was it talking about? Right at the beginning, what's the first topic? There's a number of topics in BeShalach. Obviously, the first half is about Kriyas Yamsuf, right? So, and the last thing that happens is the war with Amalek. Now, it's very important. I say that too much. Everything's important. There is basically, you could discern how the people made the 1 year cycle, the Sage of Bavel. You can discern where it is that they started Parshas and where they ended Parshas. What's the usual rule? Once you get to a point that sort of is reminiscent or is, I guess, exact opposite or parallel to what started the Parsha. That goes for Sefer Bereshis and Sefer Shmos. It's a rule throughout the Torah. That's how they decided. And it explains why there's a little bit of lopsidedness in the length of the Parshas. All right? So the Parshas BeShalach starts with basically war. Where's the war? Egypt is coming to fight. It's the hosts of Egypt. But whose war is it? Moshe Rabbeinu tells the people, Hashem yilochem lachem. Right? Hashem yilochem v'atem tacharishu. So this is a miraculous war, which basically Am Yisrael are bystanders. They're the ones who are under attack. But and these Chazal say there's 4 camps among those Jewish people. There's people who said we should fight back. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to them, Hashem yilachem lachem. There are people who wanted to pray. He said, Tem tacharishu, and etc. There's other people who said, let's go back to Egypt. Obviously, he says, no, you're staying put. You're never going to see Egypt again. So we actually have to focus on these points. Fighting Egypt and fighting Amalek is exactly the opposite here. First, in the first case, we let God do it. God will fight. And that's what Egyptians say. Ki Hashem nilcham lahem b'Mitzrayim. That's the Egyptians, once they were in the sea, and they realized they were having trouble getting through. Am Yisrael just went right through. And they get in there, and suddenly they're stuck. And then they made a decision, turn back. Anuso mipnei Yisrael, ki Hashem nilcham lahem b'Mitzrayim. They went into the sea, they realized their mistake, they turned back, but the sea's already closing on that side. So they have to continue going in.
Funny, they didn't realize it the whole year previous.
Yeah, they should have realized, just back off. But whatever, God hardened their hearts. So he says, you'll never see them again also. Wait a minute. You'll never see Egyptians. Ki asher ritemet Mitzrayim hayom lo tosifu lo lirotam od ad olam. You're never going to see them again. Wait a minute. I looked in the Bible. I looked in the history books. There was war with Egypt in the future. We mentioned this after Shlomo Melech died, barely 5 years after he had passed away. Yes, the Egyptians came back. Paro Shishak basically conquered the land of Judah, at least. Now, this is, I wouldn't say it's a footnote in the Book of Kings, but it says after Solomon died, and there had been some stability after 10 tribes broke off, the people forgot God. They went off the derech a little bit. They started building bumos, other places of sacrifice, and they got their comeuppance very quickly. Jerusalem was conquered, but not destroyed. It was not the Korban, and the Jews weren't taken to exile, so we don't observe this. We barely know what day of the year this happened. But this was a major downfall. And it says that Shishak seized all the king's treasury and all the treasures of the house of God. That's a lot. Basically impoverished the people and the country. So why didn't it say that we'll never see the Egyptians again? They were, this was a major war with them. And Paro Necho, who was around almost 400 years later, he's the one who killed, more like 300 something. He's the one who killed King Yoshiyahu of Yehuda. That was the last hurrah. And he was on his way. He was fighting the Babylonians and the Assyrians, just wanted to pass through. But Yoshiyahu could not stand the fact that he had said, you leave me and my God alone. Why are you messing with me and my God? And he was basically saying that he believes in this false God. And Yoshiyahu couldn't say that, well, I can't back down. This is about God's, this is an affront to the one true living God. So that was a problem. But you see that we had further wars with the Egyptians. And they were even our masters, although in King Asa's time, the Jews won. Major battle also with another Egyptian host. So what's going on there? What does it mean we'll never see the Egyptians again? God's promising us. And not only that, what's the result of this Dead Sea battle? God's battle with the Egyptians? Complete victory. And everybody's pointing to God, so to speak. Zek Keli Van Veo, they're singing a messianic song, right? Suddenly everybody's a prophet. That's what happened with this war. Second war with Amalek is the exact opposite. Why? Well, first, let's go point by point. Moshe Rabbeinu told them, Atem Tacharishun, God will fight for you. And it's Amalek war. No, Moshe Rabbeinu has to go up to the mount and stay praying all day. He's having two other men help him. It's all about prayer. And what does he tell Joshua? Get some men, say he lochem ba'Amalek. Go out and actually have to fight this one. Can't rely on God. That's the first thing. And then it says that Joshua actually fought them off. Vayachalosh Yoshua. But Moshe Rabbeinu declares about this battle with Amalek that Milchamala Hashem Amalek bidor dor. It's an eternal battle. Wow, not the Egyptians, you'll never see them again. Even though Amalek, we never really have that many wars with them. Every time they show up, they're sort of like hidden. It's an allusion to them fighting. And this was precipitated by not the people saying Zek Heli Van Vehu, but they're questioning in Refidim, Hayesh Hashem B'Kirbenu Im Ayin. Immediately, why Amalek? Is God with us? He's where we don't even see his providence. By the way, this is just a few weeks after the splitting of the sea. So there's a major, everything about this war is the opposite of what happened at the splitting of the sea. But not only that, this whole thing about you'll never see the Egyptians again. So what does it mean? You'll never see them again. And Amalek, it's always an eternal battle. We have Egyptians in the future. The answer is these Egyptians you're done with. If the Egyptians come back sometime in the future, it's already different culture, different group. It's not a historical grudge. 500 years later, when they were attacked by Pharaoh Shishak, it wasn't anything to do with the servitude or the fact that they had impoverished Egypt or Egypt's trying to get revenge on the revenge for the amazing defeat they had suffered at the sea. Right? It's not about that. Yet Amalek is eternal. Basically, if we were to ever, let's say, destroy Amalek in this generation, let's say, God will get rid of all the Amalekites. What God is telling us is that, and that's what the illusion that we find all the times, because I'll mention Amalek came to fight Am Yisrael. If we backslide, then God will appoint a new Amalek. Remember, Amalek is whoever decides he wants to kill Am Yisrael. So 80 years ago, Amalek was Nazi Germany. And today, Amalek is Gaza. Not saying that identify them as the seed of Amalek, like Maimonides was trying to say, but the point is he also alludes to this idea that there's always going to be an Amalek. It's similar, Lahavdil, Elef, Alfei, Avdalas, but Rabbi Fireman says you could use mushals from classic film, that the idea in the Matrix, the guy who's the enforcer of the Matrix itself, the program, the bad guy. So he takes over the body of someone in the Matrix, Agent Smith, I think it is. No, as Chatayani Maskirayom, I've been movie free more than 25 years. But that's what happens. Basically, God will take in the next generation or generations from now, who knows, the Filipinos or the Koreans, some people on the far edge of the world are going to become the next Amalek against us. If we do not live up to God's standards, so God will appoint a new rod of his anger against us. Okay. So this is something that we have to take note that BeShalach has this interesting contrast. It's two different types of wars. And we saw the 7 points and how they defer to each other.